So gym culture has become a toxic thing, but I am actually optimistic that there is a counterculture of people who want to do right. And this means a lot to me because I am personally certified as a personal trainer, and it really wasn't that hard. I think that just fitness has always been a passion for mine. I know that it's not the most original passion because a lot of people like to do that, and I think that's a good thing. But a lot of people in the front end like to pretend to be passionate about it. And then there's a lot of people in the industry, like the corporate gym industry, that absolutely tank the back end. But I think there's a counterculture of just the people who want to do it right. And I think that's the bright light that I hang on to in these dark times of cultural narcissism. Because the front end you see all over the place narcissism, people, going there, both guys and girls. Guys going there to hit on the ladies, but and honestly, if you're actually one of the guys who does that, I know that there's a lot of people who, cry wolf in that area. You're there to pump iron, not hit on girls all the time, dude. Because I've actually seen that where I'm doing an exercise and the guy tries to do what I was doing and he couldn't do it. And he's doing it in front of a girl to try and impress her, and then he embarrasses himself, and we're both laughing. And I'm just saying that, you got to work on getting better fit first, then doing it to try and impress the opposite sex, because you are going to have an honest reflection of yourself in the gym 100% of the time. And if you're not actually putting in the work or doing it properly, you are wasting your time. You're exercising in vain. And to the girls who go in there with makeup caked on and then, do that stuff where you're like saying, oh, so-and-so is staring at me and harassing me when they probably just want to use the machine. That's also another thing because no one really wants to approach anybody that much who actually is taking their gym time seriously. People who go to the gym to actually train will never go up to anybody, regardless of their gender, to try and bother them or waste their or anyone else's time. They hope that all machines are vacant so they can just get their work in and get out. And for those of you who have your camera watching you all the time just so you can make a video that's been made 1,000 times by 1,000 different people, like, look, if you are proud of the progress that you're doing, okay. And I'm not saying that those videos are necessarily a bad thing. Everyone's got to sell something on the internet if they want to build a brand. But doing it at the expense of other people's time and attention, and then also crying wolf saying someone harassed you so you could get clout, that's just kind of a bad sign that you don't actually have anything to offer the internet, so you have to make yourself out to be the victim of something non-existent. And I'm not going to go out of my way and say harassment doesn't exist in the gym, because it does. There are some very predatory dudes in there who just go in there and waste everyone else's time too. And I don't like that because it wastes my time when I'm trying to get work in. And I'm not coming to the gym because I'm looking for a partner. I'm already good in that department, dude. So I'm not jealous. I just don't think that this is a sustainable thing. And the gender war overall isn't sustainable, but it doesn't help when it infects your gym culture. Even the lady that just kind of took my equipment when I went to go get a drink of water, which is why I now have a water bottle all the time, because people will take your stuff and then literally act like you don't exist when you try and be polite about it just to try and treat you like garbage, right? That kind of stuff is absolutely toxic. And when that happened, I had to walk away. There were a lot of things I wanted to say, but I'd be saying it in vain to a brick wall. Just a shell of a person who obviously is hurt on the inside and wants to take it out on the rest of the people there. Like, for real, she looked like a very miserable person. And I did tell the front desk. I said, hey, like, this is unacceptable. And, I didn't really try and make that big of a deal about it because they're not going to move rocks to try and find this person. But you catch my drift. But even segueing into the back end, when I was I'm still personally certified as a personal trainer. I applied for a job, and the lady who was interviewing me gave me the wrong address twice, and I thought it was a mistake. But then I called one of the gyms over there, and they said, no, this is where recruitment center is at. go there. So I go to that address, and this lady, who I'm going to leave her name out and the gym's name out for story's sake, she is calling me up, and I said, "Are you sure it's not this address?" And she got nervous in her voice and said, "No, don't come to that address." What do? I go to that address. I followed my gut, and guess who I found? I found her there giving interviews. I don't know why she was trying to cut me out of the interview process, but I also recorded the whole thing. She sat me down when she found out that I figured her out at the desk, no resume, the closest desk to the door, right? Because you could already tell she was staging this. She started saying that I was showing her attitude, and I called her out. I knew that I was not going to get this job. I knew that the game was rigged against me. I knew I had nothing to lose. So I just decided to say some very true words. I said, "Ma'am, I know that you're doing this just to save face. I'm sorry your ego can't admit that, and you're trying to put up this very see-through rouge that you're some authority figure that I would never take any sort of advice or any sort of command from." I said, "Any company where you're the manager is doomed to fail, and if they let people like you in leadership positions, these gym chains aren't going to be around for very long." I also notified her that I am writing a letter to corporate, not because I want to get her in trouble, but because I don't trust her to not spin it in a way that's going to make her out to be the victim. She could say that I acted like a lunatic as soon as I did. And seeing the people that were working at that back end desk, man, I was not impressed. These were people who I could work circles around in a gym environment. Not trying to sound like a complete narcissist in that realm, but a lot of these people looked like they couldn't lift a 25-pound weight. It was actually really odd when that's not someone you want to see as a personal trainer giving the public personal training advice. When I look for a personal trainer, a lot of them I have gone to have been from off-brand gyms who have really awesome physiques and are very strong. And if I shake their hand and I feel like they can crush my hand, I want to learn from them. So I hightailed it out of there, and I just said, "I hope you have a good day." And she looked like I had just ripped her soul out. And no, I do not care. She deserved that. That's a corrupt workspace, and I'm a big proponent for employee rights. I think that employees deserve to be treated like human beings. Their time should be valued. They are there to clock in when the schedule says clock in, clock out when the schedule says clock out. From open to the time they clock out, they should be working, taking their job seriously. And then once you clock out at the scheduled, agreed upon time, you could do whatever you want as long as it doesn't bring bad eyes on the company. So when I see corrupt favoritism that infects workplaces like that, and it's not just gym cultures, but just workspaces in general, it brings me to a boil, because this is why we also have an employment crisis. In fact, I can make a ton of videos on why we have employment crises, and it always boils down to the same thing that the users and the workers both do: human behavior. But I don't want this to be a black pill video. I want this to have some hope to it, because I'm not the only person who sees this. There's a lot of people online who I see calling this kind of stuff out online. I read those messages all the time. I go on the comment section of people putting these narcissistic people on blast, whether they're a wannabe Instagram model or they are just a pseudo manager who is abusing their power position, and it's going to come around when that gym financially fails because no one wants to be there anymore. And when I say that there's a pushback culture, I like what it's doing because it's not violent, it's legal, and it is sustainable. And, sometimes, hard things do need to be said. So when I see other people seeing the same stuff and they are speaking up, good. Because the more you let this toxic behavior go in and just infect the place, fitness is a super important industry. Any sort of self-improvement is a super important industry, because we have people with self-esteem issues, and I want to see those people build themselves up and get out of that self-doubt so they don't become black holes in society that just spread negativity, because it is an inward out issue with the individual a lot of the time. And if people had more self-esteem or self-worth, I guarantee you they would not be acting like that. That sounds like something you hear in kindergarten, but the older I get, the more I'm convinced it is very, very true. So when I'm at the gym and I'm busting my hump and I see two guys giving me a compliment saying I look good out there, and then the new guy who is coming in and just trying it for the first time because he wants to improve himself, and he looks in the mirror and he sees a problem and he's able to self-reflect, and they're telling him, good, congratulations on stepping into the realm, welcome, and continue to work hard, and encouraging him to come back, work on his diet, work on his nutrition, and continue to hustle. That is a saving grace, being the change that you want to see. Now, a lot of people have this burn it to the ground mentality, and let me tell you, that never goes anywhere. The best way you can do, the best revenge you could get on a toxic culture is by being the counter movement and helping people see that your way of doing things, of positivity and not corrupt, is the way to go. Because people who feel disillusioned in society because of just behavior overall like this, they watch movies like The Joker and Fight Club. And although those are entertaining movies that have cautionary messages, I don't think destruction is ever a good way to go about it, because then you're just tearing down the world around you, and then it makes it worse for everybody else. I'm not saying your pain's not valid, but when your pain does not properly get channeled, things tend to spill over. And that's why I hold these positive people that I have seen, like the guys who encourage everybody, or the people online who say, the way you think you're coming off is not the way you're coming off. This is how you're coming off, right? Like narcissistic. The people who call out main character syndrome in the gym, that's a saving grace where I don't think the battle's quite over, because I want to see this system, this fitness industry thrive. I want to see the people who lift weights, I want to see them keep coming back. So when you're in the gym, you got to be the positive change. You got to be the positive culture, because you got to show these people that there's a better, more efficient way to do things, not just, quit, because then you're just going to have a fallout situation. But I think I've said everything I needed to say on this topic. And to everybody who keeps being the bright white pill counterculture to this black pill narcissistic black hole that's going on, thank you guys very much for doing so. You guys are always commendable. And for the people who stand up for employment rights and stand up against corrupt management, I want to say thank you guys very much to that. I'm going to land this plane right now because I've said everything I needed to say about this topic. Thank you guys very much for clicking on this. I will see you on the next one. Peace.